Hey there, this is Richard from NoPantsProfits, and today I want to talk about the metaverse. Now, Tim Cook on Friday said a normal person won't know what the metaverse is. And you know what? In the metaversal terms, I am a normal person. As weird as that sounds, in the metaversal terms, I'm a normal person. So I went ahead and I looked on my Facebook, I looked at my contacts, and there's one contact that I'm literally always seeing on Facebook that's saying, Metaverse, 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 metaverse. And I said, maybe he can help everybody in the channel understand what metaverse is. And I'll tell you, he's at all these parties and all these other things and learning all these other events. And even, he's not ready to talk about it just today, but he will be back on this channel. He's going to be starting a metaverse and AR company. He might tell you just a little bit about it today. But this is a Rene, who is from the company. Well, go ahead, Rene. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And we're going to talk a little about the metaverse and what the metaverse really is.
Uh, Thanks so much. Hi, my name's Rene Tercios. I'm running a new company called VerseXR. I'm trying to blur the lines between reality and fiction using AR and VR tech, which would be considered XR. And what that looks like in my case is that I'm building a sense of metaverse where you can go and connect from anywhere you're at, regardless of whatever's happening around you, and be able to go and make communication much more faster by allowing and more efficient by allowing you to have a much more authentic communication route with someone. But that's what I'm doing.
That's for later, and we'll definitely have you on once that fully launches. But I heard a term before we go into what the metaverse is. I kind of want to talk about a term that you just said. We've all heard. I think everybody here has heard of virtual reality, which is the goggles you put on your head, and augmented reality, which is like glasses that overlay in your world. You said a term called XR. What does that actually mean?
Yes. So uh it literally the X stands for a variable, an unknown variable that can be changed for anything. Right
Ah,
now, as it stands, we do have AR and VR, hence XR. However, there can be more cases in the future when that we're just not seeing right now. But XR is the general term for when you're discussing about AR, VR.
so XR is like blank R. It's like find X in algebra. It's the unknown.
Yes,
So
sir.
you think eventually there might be an alphabet. There might be BR, which is Brazilian reality if you
Yes.
want to go to Brazil, or CR, which is if you want to be a cat. You can go be a cat. That's the logic. So Tim Cook has been going around now. Apple is eventually, and I think it's very well known, and neither of us work for Apple, so I think we can say this. The rumors are that Apple is going to release a headset, and an AR or a VR headset. That's what the rumors are. There's also rumors they're going to release a car, but Apple is always super late to the game, and I think it's very apparent. Like, look, I've got my Samsung phone right here that's had wireless charging for the last 6 or 7 years, and they just added wireless charging to the iPhone 2 or 3 years ago. But Apple is generally best in the game, and Tim Cook is finally talking about it. But really, all that exists on the iPhone right now, I don't know if you're an iPhone or Android user, is the Ruler app. That's the only thing that comes out of your iPhone that you can measure things in AR. You can measure in augmented reality. If you had to
You,
explain, have you ever
you
seen the
guys don't
Ruler
have a
app?
ruler app?
No, you do. We do. I'm saying on the iPhone, there's a ruler app.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have an iPhone. Do you guys have it? You use Android?
No, I use both. I have an iPhone. I have an Android.
Oh.
I'm saying the Tim Cook talks about the metaverse like
Mhm.
Apple's some big player in it already. But I mean that's the truth. He's like, oh, the metaverse is the future. VR, AR, that's all the future. And literally all they've ever shipped directly from Apple is a ruler app on the iPhone. Yes, I know third-party developers are out there and things like that. So how would you explain the metaverse? How would you put it in terms to a normal person, not to a techie? Hey, look, we're both techie geeks. You go to a lot of techie conferences. I want you to kind of explain the metaverse to normal people who might be watching this, and not only explain, because this is no pants profits. How do you think we can make money on it? Because Facebook's been smashed lately, which let's call Facebook what it is. Facebook is Meta. Meta, they changed their name for the metaverse. So what is the metaverse, and how do you think that we can make money on it? Both you, me, everybody watching.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I'm really excited to actually talk about this subject because this has to be the most passionate thing I've ever been like to work on in the first place. But let me first go and dive into what is the metaverse. First of all, to just break it down for everybody, the metaverse, first of all, is just considered a buzzword right now. It just means multiple universes. If you ever go and look at the word meta in most other things have always been known for most efficient tactics available, which is mostly for gamers and stuff. But whenever you start applying it to the current companies that we have around, it's the most efficient metaverse currently. So that they're trying to just play around with fucking words. But in general, a metaverse is just a place where you can quickly exchange communications or be have your own like reality into whatever it is, rather projecting it around you using augmented reality or using VR where you have a whole headset on you that's built to build a world around you and actually like you can live in it. You can have haptic suits in it. If you go to let's say uh, a, a metaverse strip club. If you're wearing a haptic vest and stuff, you can feel when people touch you. So the more we start developing these techs, and the more that we can start like getting it to start touching these other senses, the more you can go and like have another reality. You start really blurring that line. If you go and take into example Elon Musk's Neuralink, it's a product that's built into the brain that's meant to go and reverse dementia. But if you go and start applying like other things towards it, like let's say you can go and start making it transmit pain, transmit feeling, transmit smells, transmit other things, and then you start putting these VR goggles onto people and like really getting them to like believe you're in those worlds, you sometimes at some point you're going to start losing your sense of reality and your sense of grip on that. And it's where all this is, but it's a very exciting but scary like world that we're all in. But I
And the,
love it.
and
Um
I think based on what you're saying, we'll talk about money in a minute. But I want to ask. I wrote down some questions based on what you said. I think, from what I understand, and I'm kind of new to the whole metaverse thing. Kind of the first metaverse out there was really Second Life back in the day. If you remember that, it was a game that you could play on your computer. You can meet up with everyone. It was kind of the origins of what Facebook is doing metaverse wise. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Oh, that
By
is really an old ass game.
Yeah, but that's a deep cut. But like, I was just while you were talking,
You're right. You're not wrong.
I was
I
like
always tell
Second
people
Life.
RuneScape was an original metaverse. It was a place where people could like come together and communication would be met
I mean,
quickly.
but would like going back to like, you remember back in the day when they had AOL chat rooms? Would that be considered a metaverse
Yeah.
too? I mean, not as
Well, yeah,
technically in
because
nature.
yeah, but it really is because if you start thinking about it, these are just ways that people created to make communication speed up. And when you start like taking that bottleneck and like making it go away, because at first there was no internet, there was no nothing. You'd have to go like miles to go and see people, then newspapers. Then once you start taking away those bottlenecks, you start expanding the speed um of communication, especially when you start doing it in like groups and stuff. You start having multiple people into this. People can role play, people can do whatever, but it's all you're still expanding this information at a rapid speed like that. I've always considered this to be the metaverse.
Yeah, and something you said, I don't know if you've watched. Amazon has a great TV show that's really metaverse. It's called Upload. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's amazing.
I do.
You've seen
It
Upload?
is a good show.
It is a good show.
I've watched so many shows about this shit.
But that one's probably the most mainstream of the real. I think that ties in, like you were talking about the bodysuit and somebody having a bodysuit. You know, I think one of the really cool things. You're looking for something. One of the really cool
Uh,
things in tech. And you mentioned strip clubs, and I don't shy away from that because guess what? Prostitution and stripping is one of the oldest businesses in the world. You know, some advertisers might not like it, but it is. But also, if you remember VHS and Betamax back in the day, you know what decided the difference between VHS and Betamax? What the porn studios went to. You know what decided between Blu-ray and HD DVD? What the porn studios went to. You know, some of the first IoT devices were actually sex toys. In the reality, if you know about it.
Not surprised.
So when you're talking about, you know, these touchy suits and stuff like that, that is really kind of the reality. But you said you've watched Upload, and I highly recommend everybody that's watching Upload, you know, watch Upload. But do you think that the metaverse in monetizing, I think this is important, and this is kind of the part of the first question in monetizing, do you think
Yeah.
it can be used? You'll see more and more actors. I think Bruce Willis the other day, if I was paying attention, Bruce Willis actually sold his rights of everything he's ever done to an AI company the other day, and then they could do an AI Bruce Willis. So Bruce Willis can be in future movies without actually being in future movies. James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, sold his
That's the
voice.
one I was gonna say.
Yeah,
That's the
Bruce
one
Willis
that I
sold
just heard.
sold his actual likeness. Now that's metaverse, is it not? That seems like, based on what you described, that could be one of those X's or one of those random things in the
It
metaverse.
would. It's another part of reality that you're exporting. Instead of having it's still communication. It's still someone's having like their likeness used to go and communicate with the community, even if they don't talk or whatever. It's still using them to communicate, even through marketing or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, so like these
Sorry,
deep fakes, no worries, like deep fakes and different things like that. That
I love
that really is
deepfakes.
is kind of in that space too, isn't it? Like, I mean, realistically,
Yeah, if you go and deepfake something and you put it into like a 3D world and you start like you know having it act out scenes and you start putting this into like let's say YouTube, you can make what are called ARGs, alter reality games, where like it's very similar to these stories. They're in technically in our real world, but they're based in a different universe. But it uses our actual people to go and like take a part of those clues and like do something with it, and then like the story progresses with each new video.
so
So
where do
it's still
you
it's
think? Yeah, so yeah, it's its own kind of thing. So where do you think the normal person, not a techie, not someone that sits with multiple computer screens and multiple phones and multiple VRs and everything like that all day, where do you think the normal person is going to start seeing the metaverse in their everyday life? Coming in the next few years, where do you think that's really going to break through and someone's going to go? People were like, when they started getting smartphones are really dumb. And then, as weird as it sounds, a metaverse, if I'm correct here, is, like the blue bubbles on an iPhone. That ecosystem is actually part of a metaverse, is it not? Being inside of that, based on your definition, that's a metaverse that people know right now. You know if there's an Android user texting you because their bubble is green. I hate to put it like that, but that's how you know those things. Where do you think a normal person is going to go? I guess here's what I'm asking. I think you know this because you deal with a lot of founders and stuff. Where is that aha moment for the general public in relation to the metaverse that you think is going to go, I know what it is now, to the general public?
I think I'm gonna try answering it in the best way I can. I think so. It's gonna have to do with a new product coming to the market called Apple Glasses. I think that product will probably end up being the main catalyst. And let me also say one thing. I don't think Apple is too late. I think Apple, if they would have dropped it even a year ago, Apple Glasses would have still been too early to market. Anything that comes out too early to market, I believe, will just die. Google Lens, did this exact same thing.
I was a
But
glasshole. I was a glasshole back in the day. I had Google
I
glasses.
would
I
have
had them.
loved them, but I definitely did not have the money back then. But the thing about it, if you start taking, AR tech, which is where you're going to really start seeing the multiple universes come together. When you start taking AR tech and you start allowing people just as wearables on your face, you're I'll give you an example. You have friends. They're at home. They're in VR. They're out, partying at club NoPantsProfits. And whenever they're partying at club NoPantsProfit, they meet this new guy. They're like, "Hey, we need you to meet Richard right now. You're really cool, but I know you're really busy, whatever. But you're out at some conference. You're out doing, whatever. But you got your glasses on. What you can do is like they'll, Facebook message call you or whatever because it's all like connected through VR and stuff. They'll call you. You'll be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I'll hop in real quick. So what you can do is you can project these people around you. When you have these augmented glasses and you project them, they're in VR. If they move their body or their hands or anything, it naturally moves. So you can go and actually use it to like project almost like holograms in front of people. And once you start doing that, you start seeing like them as they are because you can define yourself as whatever type of avatar you want. I think you'll start seeing like people would just be like, "Whoa!" Like this is the first time. Like people are visual. Like they have to see it to like really get it.
Yeah.
And like if you can't just tell someone like all these good things because like it won't make sense to them. So the best way to do it is show it. And I think if AR with how Apple has the most market share currently, I do strongly believe it would make it to where like people would just like they would see it, they would start using it, it would be incorporated in everything they do. Apple right now has been like lately they've been acquiring the fuck out of AR and VR companies. They've just been buying them all up. They've been
And they
all like
don't
just holding.
disclose when they do it. They're just gathering,
They
gathering,
don't.
gathering,
They
gathering,
don't.
gathering.
I only know this shit because I work all these fucking networking events and shit with all these founders and VCs and angel investors and shit. I only know this shit because like I fucking talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And like I'm finding out like Apple's acquiring the fuck out of them and they're about to drop these Apple glasses that has advanced AR tech.
Yeah, so
When
you're
you start
talking
really
motion capture and everything like that built into glasses. So you can
yes. Are you
mocap
familiar with
yourself,
LiDAR?
mocap others, everything like that.
Are you familiar with LiDAR?
I am very familiar with lidar. I'm gonna talk back. Well, this is more radar and more IR. But you remember the Leap Motion back in the day? That was one of the first interfaces that really got things going. You know the Leap
You
Motion.
can I know it because it's still used nowadays
It's used on the
in
Oculus
building
stuff.
even
Yeah, it's used on the buildings,
yeah.
it's used on the Oculus stuff, it's used in all that. And LiDAR is kind of a really interesting topic because when we're talking about LiDAR, you know who refuses to use LiDAR? And I'm happy that they're refusing to use LiDAR. Tesla is just using normal vision and not LiDAR. And it's leaving the LiDAR sensors for other people to make these AR and VR and other things like that. But you've talked about those worlds. But here's the question: I have an idea, but I want to hear if our ideas match. And
Sure.
I'll have you say it. We'll go one, two, three, and we'll say it because I think I know the killer app that's really gonna make people go, "I get it." But I'm asking, okay, if you've got those glasses, what is the killer app on those glasses that's gonna make people go, they get it? Because I think I've got it, and I've known this for a while, and it's kind of interesting because it's something that Apple actually fails at on their phone. And we'll go one, two, three. I say it's navigation. I don't know what you say it is. I think navigation's kind of an interesting place in the AR space.
Oh my God, I cannot believe we're talking about this right now. So let me
Well,
tell you why.
don't break any NDAs. Let's be very clear. I don't want you to
No,
break
no,
any NDAs.
this is a company I'm building. This is part of VerseXR. So VerseXR is going to be a multiple stage company. I'll be deploying my own SaaS products and a couple of different things while building this communication app. One of the things that everybody that I've shown this to has also basically said the like I get it. Whenever I've shown this, I have this AR app. It's building a happy hour app, an happy hour app. Sorry,
I used to
bad
use that
jokes.
term. I used to teach about apps on a cruise ship, and it was called Appy Hour. And you'd come learn about apps for an hour, and we'd all get trashed while we did it. And what was great is I actually had permission to do it. Like I would get trashed while I was teaching people about apps, and it was part. It was approved because it was part of the show, and I went and took a nap afterwards. So yes, I'm very familiar with Appy
Fire.
Hours.
Well, imagine this. You have, your AR glasses. You're, downtown, whatever city, New York, San Francisco, whatever. Your friends and stuff. You're trying to get something to eat, something to drink, whatever it is. You pull up this app. It's this AR app that will basically project the city in front of you. It'll showcase like where you're at, and it'll showcase what you're trying to look for. So maybe you type in sushi. Well, it's
Just to
6 o'clock.
clarify for people, it's not projecting the city; it's projecting an overlay on the city. Correct? I think that's the
Let
important thing.
me go ahead and share my screen. I feel like this might actually end up being important now.
Okay. Hey,
Uh,
let's take a look. All right. So we might get a really cool look at. Oh, there's your screen. I can blur that if there's anything terrible
yeah.
there. You look after.
Oh,
Uh, you look after. You let me know. All
oh
right.
God. Okay, so um, I'm gonna showcase you guys like some stuff in here. You see these cities and stuff? Whenever you can go and start having these cities like just pop up into the world, and you're starting to be able to like actually visualize where. Oh, not all that extra bullshit. I just want to show you. Oh, actually, let me showcase one other
Yeah, please.
thing that might
We're trying to get. I'm
come.
trying to get normal people to understand. Hey, what is this? What is this metaverse? What is the what is the point of it?
Fantastic. Then let me pull up one other video because this is actually the example that I've been showing, and I've been like actually like pulling up the app. So there's all these like little uh
That's San
these
Francisco,
little
right? Pier
things.
39.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yes. This is San Francisco, because it's just a sample demo that I show people. But
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
I
no
was
problem.
showcasing them, like these are where like these little places would be. Um, you can basically click on them, and they'll go and pull up the menu, and because you can like actually see, uh, because whenever
But
like you
if
can
you're
get
if you're on
into it,
street level, if you're on street level though, you can just point at a building in a direction and it'll kind of show you that as well, correct? You can look at this either from
yeah,
above or from street level.
there will be multiple settings for that. It should just be a switch of a button depending on like which camera view I have it set to. But yes, absolutely. But this is a good way of showcasing like you can see the actual city. And let's say you're over here and you were looking up and you saw this place and you saw the menu, you're like, hey, you know what, I want to go there. It can basically call with an API from Google Maps that
Yep.
to where you're at to this place, and it'll just auto track it. It sends the data, and then you're just good. You can see where it is. You can like actually like look into it, like where you're trying to go, and like whenever
So,
you
but you're
still
pulling
start
you're
having
pulling
like
the you're pulling the Google API from their 360s, from the cars and from inside of venues and everything like that, correct? You're not collecting that data yourself, and we don't need Jeffrey Dahmer's prison glasses. I mean, I
oh
guess that's a type of
oh
AR
god,
glasses. No, it's fine.
that's not
I'll stop.
none
I'll
of that
stop the
bullshit.
screen share real quick. But it's kind of interesting. So you're kind of with me on. I think the aha moment for people in what you're describing as the metaverse really comes down to navigation. And I'll tell you, Google has done some interesting stuff there, but again, they haven't gone far enough. So I guess when you're going there, that's a really interesting place to talk. There is navigation. What's weird is we haven't talked before this about any of that. I haven't seen the video you just showed. I haven't seen. I don't follow your Instagram. I follow some of your stuff on Facebook, which is a good thing because people are still coming to that same conclusion. So what does that say? That says that you're on the right track. So the Apple glasses, though, I think one of the things that's important is, and you're a good person to ask this question too. And I ask this very broadly. The
Sure.
Apple glasses are going to have to launch very similar to say the iPad or the iPhone. They're going to launch them in January. Have a developer kit, and it'll be available to general. I know I'm giving really good timelines because I know these things too. I drink and I know things.
Someone sounds like someone knows a little bit more than because you were right about the January
I
from what
know
I've
we're
been
right.
told.
I'm
Um,
right at January, and then they're going to launch right after WWDC for general consumers. But they are going to start at a high price point. They're going to start at a price point that's higher than an iPhone, from what I know. So I guess the
Probably.
question is how do you sell this to consumers? Like, what I mean by sell this to consumers, back in the day, you remember this thing? They had these things. They were ancient. They were called Microsoft stores. You remember Microsoft stores? You could go to a Microsoft store and you could try a HoloLens, or like my local
Yeah.
museum. And the office is actually literally like 15 minutes away from me. Is the headquarters of this thing called Magic Leap, which I'm sure you've heard of before. Which is, I wasn't super impressed by it, but it's a thing. It exists. We're not going to go there. How do you? Is it just going to be people having to walk into Apple stores, or do you think that how do they get this to work? Are you going to go like I'm talking wild right now? Like, okay, Apple will give these glasses to Target, and when you go shop for your baby registry, it'll show you where all the things are inside of the physical Target. Is that how you sell it to people? You do it in like a B2B basis to try and get the normal consumer buy-in on these products?
Let me ask you, how many regular consumers do you know that own an iPhone and an M1 Mac Pro? An M1 Mac that is worth at least 3 grand. Not none of the $1,500 ones.
Well, I
How
mean,
many do you
like,
know?
I have a MacBook Air that's an M2, so that'll probably work. But I'd say a majority of my friends have Apple processor MacBook Pros nowadays. And
Okay,
I think,
are they devs?
no, not a lot of them. I don't know a lot of
They're
devs.
not?
No.
Interesting. Okay,
But
I'm surprised. So they're willing already to spend, several thousand around this. From
yeah.
the price point I've been told it's around like $500 to $700, which is honestly like very reasonable considering how much money like is being
So you're
dumped
you're
into this.
talking
Like,
you're talking about Generation 1 being that cheap? That's an impulse
yeah.
buy. That's an impulse buy.
Well, Apple also has the most market share currently right now, and with right now Facebook, they just dropped this current month with the new Oculus with advanced AR features. You don't think that Apple isn't going to go and try to sweep on that? Like,
So
I don't
you
know.
you
I
think, and
feel
again, we're talking conjecture, we're talking wide strokes, because I'm not gonna get in trouble for it
Mhm.
because I don't work for nobody, and you're not gonna get in trouble for it, but I don't want you breaking NDAs or
Yeah.
anything. Do you believe that there's going to be two different ones? There's gonna be like a Pro glasses for the higher end that has like an M1 Pro or M1 Ultra, and then there's gonna be an entry level that's got an M1 or even like an A8 or an A12 from the
I
iPhone
think
side.
at the beginning, I think at the beginning, yes, but I hope in the future that most of it is solved through cloud streaming.
And you know, you said a
I
word. You said a word, so
okay.
we got to bring up current events, and you know where I'm going. You said cloud streaming, so we got to bring up Stadia, which we got to bring up Stadia because that's a relevant thing. We're not shutting that. I'm not attacking you, but we're not shutting that down. We're
No,
not
it's
shutting
good.
that down. We're not shutting that down. And all of a sudden, Google literally tells their employees a half an hour before that that we're shutting Stadia down. You know, so a lot of this cloud streaming relies on that. But I think here's interesting. I mean, pretty much other than you're an Apple person too. Other than AirPower, you know, Apple really hasn't abandoned anything from the past. You know, I have my I have my thing right here. Where is he? Like this is knockoff AirPower, and it actually works really well. This is knockoff Chinese AirPower, but generally when Apple does something, I think that's to your point, is they commit to it. So if Apple were to make a streaming service, they're committing to it. But I think that's very interesting what you're saying, and you might go, because if you're looking as an investment mindset, and that's what this channel is all about, Apple doesn't generally run their own servers and data centers. They really don't. They outsource a large majority of that. So
Yes.
the question is, if we're going to streaming and Apple's going to be hosting it, similar to the App Store, I think they're going to host a lot of it, very similar to the App Store. So devs don't have to run servers for all their AR and VR stuff. It'll stream to device with 5G and all that crazy stuff. I think you can make money both on Apple and on the server companies they're using, which are not going to be generally owned by Apple. It's kind of because right now, Apple, a lot of people don't know that Apple uses Google and Amazon servers to run a lot of the App Store and different things like that. It's kind of a weird thing that a lot of
Oh,
people
for
don't
sure.
know because Apple's not a server farm. So I think that's kind of an interesting perspective there. So you think that consumers will get in on day one. You think that they're, but I guess the question is again, how do they sell it? How, is it something you have to put on to understand? I guess is the loaded question I'm trying to ask you.
You for sure will. Or okay, the only other way that people would be able to understand is if someone like me was to be able to make a video that use VFX to basically showcase how it's like supposed to come out. But again, you will never understand something unless you try it yourself. Like if you show someone a person putting on a VR headset and trying it, yeah, dude, it looks cool as fuck. I don't get it. I've never been in like I never played Onward in VR. I never felt the thrill of like a bullet going right next to my head and stuff. I never felt that before. Once you put that headset on, you start getting into it and you feel it. It's a whole different ball game. You'll sell the consumer and naturally that way. But I think people once they start realizing that like the tech will seamlessly integrate into our life and naturally make our lives better using different things using AI to go and tell us like even like what the temperature is, how fast the car is moving, how many cars are around you. You'll be able to understand like why Tesla like work like for people that don't understand like how do Teslas work and like why can
Yeah,
they
because
do all this
you're
stuff.
right, and I just want to clarify. You know, if you are a Tesla owner right now, you have a metaverse that shows on your dashboard and really shows you what's going on in the world in the way that Tesla's actually seeing your world. And if you watched again, my feelings on the Tesla AI robot are that they took a Disney animatronic and put it on stage, but I'm not denying the software behind it. I just think the hardware, it literally looks like they took Abraham Lincoln from Disneyland and said, "Ooh, let's take Abe Lincoln and put him on stage." And Abe Lincoln's from the 1960s. So, you know, I didn't find any revolutionary hardware completed from Tesla, but I do think the idea of that software and the AR working there is quite interesting. So I guess the way I want to sum up everything is, we've talked about a lot today, and I do want to have you on again once you've got
Mhm.
more of that company going down the line. I do want to pitch that. And one of the cool things
Thanks.
is everybody who's on here, I like to share, the comments, the views, everything like that. I'm going to share all that information with you because it's good information that we get there. But I guess the
Yes.
question is, why does Tim Cook think that people don't understand what the metaverse is? And
Oh,
if you were
that's an
Tim
easy
Cook,
one.
if you were Tim Cook, how would you educate people on the metaverse? And that's the question I really want to end on there.
Let me first tell you why he thinks that, or in my opinion, why he thinks that. On the general broad span, people that don't live in San Francisco and into like very techie areas, I feel like they don't even see like firsthand like the power of filters, the power of like using like everyday tech in like integrating your life. And I feel like for the majority of America, because there's just so much poverty, so much like stuff, I do think that like a lot of it's just like they, you can't comprehend something when you're not even in the environment to go and even have those type of like lives in the first place. So I do think that's more along why it is because like people just don't have the resources. No, like the HoloLens. I only got to play with it because I actually went to the Microsoft Reactor office here in San Francisco, and they like me, so I can mess with it there.
Yeah,
But that's 3,500 or like 35 or like $5,000 like a fucking
yeah,
headset, like,
yeah,
and you can't even buy it as a regular consumer. You can only buy it as enterprise, and
yeah,
I only know that because they told me. Because I was like,
yeah.
wait, I can't just buy this. Like, yeah, you can't. Like, oh, okay.
And the only place for normal people to try that was at select Microsoft stores when Microsoft stores existed back in the day. And the only place for people to buy Magic Leaps is back there. You came up with an idea. I saw your face. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with Unreal Gardens?
You know what? Unreal Gardens meaning something by Epic.
No.
It's different. Share your
Yes.
screen.
All right.
Share your
So,
screen.
uh,
I'm not familiar.
okay.
See, when you say
Sure.
Unreal, I automatically go to Unreal Engine, if that makes sense, because I think that's a
No, that
fair.
that's
So that's why
uh
I'm like by Epic.
no. Let me Unreal Garden. Check this bitch out. This thing is so much fun. I've actually been here.
Okay, so
So
this is
what they're
similar to it's like a VR area, like a VR. Go ahead, talk. What it is?
AR. It's AR. As you watch, these are AR projections being projected around you using the HoloLens. The HoloLens uses lidar and other tech to basically see around you. You can use your fingers to like move stuff, and this is a whole museum experience here in San Francisco. This happens actually quite often.
And it's not a
I've been through
temporary
several
pop
of
up; it's
their.
permanent for now. Or
Uh, it's basically permanent. They do a lot of shit here. They're doing stuff all kinds of places. But yeah, no, I just wanted to showcase that real quick because this is like a legitimate like use case of where like people spend money and like people do like actually like get this place like kind of booked up. Like whenever I went, like it was pretty
and you
packed.
think it's one of those things that businesses are going to sell it to consumers. So that Target thing is not incredibly far fetched. Is that Target can use it for a baby registry or something like that? That's not crazy. So
It's
that's
not
where
that
I
far.
think as well is the way the metaverse is going to sell is Apple's going to say they're going to go to these big companies and they're going to say here's 20 of these headsets, use it in your flagship location, and we'll help you make a augmented reality or XR, we'll call it app. I mean, Apple's
Here's
first glasses are going to
here's
be
here's one
AR.
for you.
Go ahead.
So you remember how I told you about like you could in theory use AI to go and track like how many cars are around you and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this into a sense of the regular workforce. If you're working at Target, let's say so, instead of having all these scanners, you're wearing these HoloLens. People give you your basket. You look at the basket with the HoloLens because you're the cashier or whatever. Scans the whole thing. Don't
Yeah,
scan the whole like. Don't just go
you don't
through
need
each
the
one. Just like
cashier.
you're wearing the
You don't
thing.
need the cashier.
Yeah, just put on glasses, scan, done.
Well, no, but and the glasses will do it the whole time when you're picking it off the shelf too. Those glasses
Yeah,
can
that
be, and
actually Amazon does that.
Amazon Fresh.
Amazon does that
Amazon
at,
Fresh. I know it
no,
very
no, no,
well.
no, no. Amazon Go. Have you
Go
been there?
Fresh. Yes, of course I have. I've been to the one in Seattle. I've made some videos
Oh,
about it before. Yeah.
oh my
The
God. I literally they have this one thing where you put your debit or credit card in, and you
And you do
put your
your palm.
hand
Yeah,
on
my
it.
palm's registered with Amazon, and you feel like a Jedi. You know, you're like Luke. Let me buy some Gatorade. You know, you really feel like a genuine Jedi, and I think that's what's interesting.
Bro, that was the most coolest thing I've ever
So
seen.
I think what we're getting to, just to kind of wrap up, I think the idea is
Okay.
that people aren't going to find this tech when it comes out at first. Yes, there's a certain level. The early adopters are going to find it at Apple stores. They're going to go to an Apple store. They're going to play Angry Birds in AR because guess what? Freaking everything always starts with Angry Birds. Let's not lie. You know, they're going to play Angry Birds in AR. And, you know, there's a certain tech level people that are going to get it. But I think the important thing and where you should watch, and I'm saying this just based on our conversation stuff, is really watching the B2B side, which is selling B2B and then B2C, because that's going to enhance people's, AR is going to enhance people's experiences in retail, in wholesale, in all those different things like that. And then
For
it will
sure.
eventually roll out to the home market. And I think Apple will probably be a lot more successful than HoloLens and Microsoft at doing that. Because I think Apple
Probably.
has that consumer reach that Microsoft doesn't have. Because Apple, again, as we know, when you're talking M1s and all that, is Apple owns the full stack. They own the hardware, they own the software,
They
they own the development
they have the
platform
most market share currently out of any company for
in the AR
that.
space. Correct? You're defining market share as being what? Because they don't have the most computers.
Uh, no, no, no. So whenever you go and start evaluating like people that will go and spend money on apps, on products that are like
Oh yeah,
developed into their
oh yeah.
ecosystem, Apple is the king of that.
Oh yeah,
And
apps are better on
there's
Apple.
a
I mean,
reason
that's
they
why
went.
I use an iPhone. That's why I always use the latest iPhone. Developers are going to put more work with better APIs into an Apple device than they're ever going to put into an Android device. That's not argumentative. Like, so you're saying from a developer market share, they have the most people ready to build apps and build experiences that work with their tech, and they have the biggest user base in the mobile market, which they actually own.
Absolutely.
And they can make all this AR stuff available on iPhones going back 5 years within a day if they wanted to, realistically. And I think that's what they might do is put some of these
As
AR
long as the
things.
tech is available, as long as the
Yeah,
tech is available on each device, yes. I know right now, AR tech only stops up, I think, to nine, iPhone
yeah.
9,
But
because
that's
I
still going
know.
back 4 or 5 phones in theory.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
going back
yeah.
4 or 5 phones in theory. So I do want to invite you back once you got more of that company. I want to learn more about your company down the road. I know you're still in early ideation phases, and you know a lot of people, and we'll see how this video does. And I want to, if you have some other friends that are in the sphere that want to have a chat, because I'm trying to make a lot more content to teach people where we're going with news subjects and things like that. So I do want to thank Rene. Plug is your website live yet for the company, or you're not
Uh,
live quite yet? Okay,
Unfortunately, no.
so he's not live quite yet,
Soon.
but in the
Don't worry.
future, when he gets it, I will put it down in the description below. He'll send me an update, and I'll put your website down in the description below. But I do want to revisit, and I want to look at your AR tech in the future. This is, and say bye, Rene, real quick.
Thank
This
you.
is Richard from No Pants Profits, reminding you that when you wear no pants, all you got left to lose is your shirt. Have a great one. Bye.